Oh man, I couldn't get up. I looked ahead at the next one. It's really got me excited. Anyway, Buddha Zhen here back again. This is the Tao of Taoism written by me, and I'm on number 5. And this one just, I look at me, I got all excited. Here we go, number 5. The value of opposites amounts to nothing. That's so cute. Wait, we'll come back on that. To separate, glorify, or deny something in protection of its opposite creates a weakness by the loss. All things are of value despite our preference. God, that describes America's situation so dramatically, and I don't want to get carried away talking about it, but just got to show you that that's why America is in conflict, is because we are totally out of the Tao. Okay, first of all, the value of opposites amounts to nothing. Now that's a misleading statement, but it's actually 100% accurate. Amounts means adds up. So 1 plus, 1 minus, add them together, you get 0. So negative, positive equals 0. Nothing. That was a beautiful thing. Lao Tzu was intending to mean something with that. And I think we're really missing the boat by not delving into that even further and further. But let's just leave it at that right now. But he's saying you take a negative and a positive and you end up with nothing. Okay. Now let's look at a wife and a husband, and you end up with a nothing. Well, is it really a nothing, or is it really a new something? See, I got them put together here. It's not this, and it's maybe not this, but it's this. So it's nothing that existed previously. See, maybe we got something shaved off from the original translation. So maybe anyway, so like I said, let's open our minds. I'm always looking for some way to really make these things real. Okay, and the next part is all the chaos of America right now. To separate, glorify, remember that's bad. When you're separating something out, you better have a good reason, or you're just capturing something. Glorifying something is another way of capturing something and saying, you're not good, but this is. So that's, got to remember, when you create a positive, you create a negative. Or deny something. So we're going to deny, I don't know how to put this perspective yet, deny something in protection of its opposite creates a weakness by the loss. Okay, so if we're saying this guy we're going to glorify, and we're going to give you something special, but we're going to deny you, creates a weakness by the loss. By the denial. That's a weakness. That's not a strength. When you raise this guy up and glorify him and say you're full of, you're not worthy, that is not a good balance. That's not a good plus or minus. This one's way off of balance. It's going to fall down. And this guy's so down here, he's going to get buried. So they're both going to, it's a bad situation. So once more time, then let's read what I wrote on this. It's interesting. I got all kinds of things going through my head. Your perspectives may be different. But here we go. One more time. Lao Tzu says, and I love this first line. It's just cute and clever, but I think it means so much more than any of us are probably grasping right offhand. The value of opposites amounts to nothing. To separate, glorify, or deny something in protection of its opposite creates a weakness by the loss. All things are of value despite our preference. You gotta remember that too. We always think in terms of ourselves. Everybody. It's just, that's the first way we think. Just gotta accept that so you can deal with it. Okay, so you have to realize that we all have our preferences. But if you can become more zen and, God, I look bald with this light shining here. Yeah, I remember that bump on my head. I think I covered, sheesh. Anyway, bumped myself pretty bad last night. You can feel it. I should say something. I was in a fight. Somebody hit me with it. But fighting's coming up. Here we go. Oh, okay, here we go. What is the opposite of you? Well, okay, me, that's just about everybody. So it's not you, it's me. So what's the opposite of you? So in other words, if you're a good worker, then maybe a bad worker. If you're an honest person, then a dishonest person. If you're a happy person, a sad person, or maybe the other way around. But anyway, just who's the opposite of you? Let's work with that. Explain your character polarities. Good side, dark side. Now this is tricky here. You're going to have to open up to the fact that explain your character polarities, your good side and your dark side. Now I remember Oscar, if I can talk about him. He's a kind of a good example, somebody to talk about. He, when I met him, he always wore military fatigues, and he wanted to be a soldier, but he was not a warrior, but he wanted to be a soldier. And he actually had a dark side. He loved playing the video games and stuff. And he loved shooting and killing. And he said the reason he wanted to be a soldier was he actually wanted to, shoot something. So anyway, you just got to own up to it and accept it, even if you don't like the way it sounds. I can't even say it for other people. But anyway, you got to own up to your own dark side. Anyway. Next one, how do you control your dark side? Okay, well, let's say you have a dark side. You think, gosh, I'd like to beat that person up. Let's deal with that instead of no murder. Okay, you got this desire to beat other people up, And I've known one person, actually a couple. I know two people whose fathers were boxers. I'm not really a boxer. I teach martial arts, but I don't really box. Who were boxers. Their parents were boxers. And as a result, they hit their kids. See, a boxer hits people. That's just the way they communicate. And so, in both cases, these boxer fathers hit their kids. And maybe they didn't even think they were evil. They probably didn't, because they were just communicating with their kids the same way they communicate with all their professional allies and competitors or whatever. It's just the way they communicate. So in both cases, these kids had gotten pummeled by their parents or their fathers excessively. I also know of cases where women have been very sadistic and whipped and beaten, done terrible things to their kids too. So anyway, I'm not saying it's all men. Don't get me wrong here. In fact, my theory is actually that anytime you do see a man who's actually being sadistic and mean like that, like those boxers must have been women in the first position. And then a warrior in the second position. See, that's what Joe Rogan is. He's a woman in the first position and a warrior in the second. That way he can be mean and hurt people and have a sense of humor about it. That's how you can do it. A worker can't do that. A worker can't have satisfaction about doing something wrong or breaking something or hurting someone, because that doesn't get along well in the workplace. You got to be more compassionate. So compassion, ironically, comes from the worker, not the woman. So the woman's soul is the one without the compassion. They're the ones that make the comedians. All comedians are women's souls in the first position. Every one of them, as far as I can tell. That's shocked me as I've been studying that for 2 years. It's really obvious in some, like Russell Brand, but Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, Joe Rogan. I mean, a lot of it's just so obvious, and you talk to them about their neuroses and their emotions and their. I mean, it's the woman's spirit, not the female. They're not female. They're woman's souls. Okay, so anyway. And so it's not a negative. We just got to, it makes sense. When you know that, now it makes sense. So this person needs a little bit more of ethics and less chance to beat people up because they're going to enjoy it. Okay, so here we go. Where were we? What do you dislike the most in others? Okay, and that's an interesting question. So think about that. You should have some things pop into your mind. One more time. What do you dislike the most in others? Okay, next. How do you control these dislikes in yourself? I just kind of jumped several steps. And these things you dislike in other people are almost always going to be something you dislike in yourself. Like in my case, I would say dishonesty. I'm way into the truth. So the one thing I most dislike in myself is dishonesty. And anytime I've been dishonest, it still haunts me, and it's something I can't do. It's so that's what I dislike the most, so it prevents me from doing it, see? So when you understand these things, it's not a negative, you can use it as a positive, really. Okay, I got this bumper, it's gonna keep me away from lying. I shouldn't get in a job where I have to lie. I can't be a salesman. I could only sell something to someone I thought that could afford it, and it was the right time and the place and the thing for them, and I can't be a salesman, I'm too considerate. So that's why salesmen are good. A woman in the first position is a salesman every time. So that's one of the things I had to figure out. A man with a woman in the first position has a good chance of being a salesman. Okay. Now, a worker, like my dad in the first, actually my dad a woman or a worker in the first position? He may be a woman in the first position, but anyway, let's keep going. Let's see, where were we? What are you fighting to control for the sake of some rule that is difficult to follow? This is a good one, and everybody's going to have different answers for this one. But here we go. What are you fighting to control for the sake of some rule that is difficult to follow. Like maybe eating. Maybe it's difficult for you to follow that rule. I shouldn't have given you any clues. What comes from you first? Nature is seasons of opposites. Like summer and winter, spring and fall. Okay. Nature is seasons of opposites. Winter has its time, as does summer. How are your opposites regulated, controlled, or allowed their own release? In other words, I'm saying nature has opposites, so I'm allowing you to kind of like give yourself some leeway. How you do this or that, or you want this, So what are your opposites? Find your polarity. How far are you going from one extreme to the other, so we can find out maybe what your happy medium is and make it easier for you. Because you may have one thing pulling this way and one thing pulling this way, but if we could find some way to satisfy both of them, then that's good, without maybe going all the way that way or all the way that way. I don't know. I don't even know if the middle is always the best place. Here we go. Describe your overall balance of opposites. That might be a tough one. If you're driving in your car, you're going, what the heck are you talking about? Like, well, what would be my opposites? My opposites would be my ability to just enjoy watching YouTube, and then I say, hey, I've been sitting here for a little while and I didn't move. I should be doing some kung fu or cleaning the kitchen. Okay, so that's one opposite, is I feel guilty for not doing that. And then the other opposite is I work as hard as I can. I'm doing these kung fu classes and teaching and building and writing things and working on the website. So I go from the opposite of working really hard for too long to maybe relaxing too long. My answer. Okay, let's see. Nature is a season of, how are you fighting regularly? Describe your overall balance of weaknesses. Like I said, I think I'm getting a good balance. I'm really happy with putting my life together. Of course, I work at a professional studying myself under a microscope, so I better be doing good. But anyway, hey, 12 minutes here, and thanks for hanging around. Hopefully this is interesting to listen to.